keep up with all of this interesting material at tarpley.net and, on the Twitter feed, Webster G. Tarpley. And sometimes when the situation gets hot, you got to look at that Twitter feed several times a day. You can access it through tarpley.net, even if you don't have a subscription to Twitter, I believe, or at least it's very easy. So we've got now this turning point on Tuesday, October 25th. The ad busters are forced to make this very important demand for the 1% Wall Street sales tax. Notice, however, just in terms of the process, the total hypocrisy of these people. They say, oh, no, we're not a vertical movement. We don't have authoritarian hierarchical structures. We have general assemblies that decide everything, right? We're horizontal. We're lateral, whatever we are. In practice, it's a complete fraud. Ad busters, meaning this clique of Kali, Lazen, Schmaltz, and maybe Graeber and a couple of others, they decide, they put out the word, and the entire movement says, yes, sir, and they snap to attention. What hypocrisy. It reminds me, I don't know what, of the Confederates, right? They talk about states' rights, and then when you say, well, we don't like the fugitive slave law and we won't obey it, they say, how dare you? And you've got to kowtow. So the whole rationale of ad busters is in this process exposed as a fraud and a big lie, right? They're as vertical as anybody, just that they lie about it, they deceive, they hide it. Why not say, let's have an open, accountable leadership where organic mass leaders are willing to have the guts to stand up in front of the people and say, here's what I'm for, here's what I urge you to do, here's who I am, here's my name, here's my face, here's my program, here's everything about me, and now you decide and make that appeal. No. We got to have this elaborate ideology of the General Assembly that spends all of its time in this endless filibuster at a lower level than the U.S. Senate. And then when it's time to make a decision, this is made by this secret clique that 99% of the people in this movement don't even know about. All right, so that's a fraud. So, again, repeat the demands. Kick out the facilitators. Kick out the foundation operatives, and Adbusters is, of course, a foundation. Kick out the mind benders, the brainwashers, the anarchists in general, because they just won't do anything. They won't go along with anything reasonable. And you can see, if you have a majority rule decision, they're going to try to sabotage it. So at that point, you have to say, look, comrades, the majority has spoken. Your rights to protest along the way are guaranteed, but don't try to sabotage what we're doing, and don't try to get everybody arrested here by provoking fights with the cops. So the 5 points for the general strike on November 2nd, plus other actions. Try to take notes here. You can put these, you can make your own leaflet in 10 minutes. Number 1, the Wall Street sales tax, 1% on all turnover. This is the fundamental point. Shift the cost of the Depression off the backs of working people onto the backs of the zombie banks, the hedge fund hyenas, and all the rest. Fight speculation. Speculation is a grave social evil. Secondly, use part of the proceeds of that to pay for a student loan amnesty. Cancel $1 trillion of oppressive high-interest student loans. This is called the 100% haircut. Now, some people are scandalized. Oh, how dare you? We have to have the sanctity of debt. We love debt. Debt is sacred. Debt takes precedence over human civilization. This is the Austrian argument, the monetarist argument, dear friends. This is the reactionary argument. However, it's disguised, right, with clouds of smoke or incense, whatever it is. Right? We used to be told debt was sacred. No, it's not. People who refuse to do anything to cut the student loan burden are turning out to be worse than the European Commission. They're worse than the EU Council of Ministers, because those guys are already moving towards a 50% haircut on Greek bonds held by private holders. It's too narrow. It's not enough. But the principle is there. Debt has to be written down. Student loan burden is crushing the new generation here in the United States. Therefore, we want to write it off. We want to say, you have the right to form families, have children, have a decent life. Not all your money has to go into this huge burden. Why do we have a system where the corporate fat cats say, we're going to have you train yourself to work for us, and you're going to pay for it, and then we're going to gouge you with exorbitant interest rates? This makes no sense. Then there's the argument. This is a typical von Hayek argument. You can't do this because whatever you do will be unfair to somebody. Yeah, that's what human life is like. Whoever told you it was fair? Now, the form that this usually takes, von Hayek in his awful book, The Road to Serfdom, this obscurantist, he says, you can't do the Tennessee Valley Authority for the Danube, because then you'd have to decide, in terms of the wonderful prosperity, how to distribute that between Romanians and Hungarians. And Romanians and Hungarians, of course, never agree about anything. So we can't do anything. Everybody wallows in 500 more years of poverty and backwardness. No. We'll find a way to make it fair. We can do additional reforms and so forth. We want to get the idea across that debt is not sacred. Debt has to be written down. And this idea is now in the air because the European Union, 650 million people are now, they're doing it. Right there it is. Again, not enough, but they're doing it. Stop foreclosures. Well, Bank of America, they use robo-cops, robo-judges, robo-signers, robo-sheriffs to steal people's houses. They have essentially lost the paper trail on the titles to most of these homes. They put it into their automated system. They did not follow applicable local law. They didn't go to the local Bureau of Deeds every time that the property changed hands. Therefore, they have lost their ability to foreclose. In other words, they're illegal. What they're doing is illegal. And we want to mention, we hope to get more on this later in the show, Sherry Hankala in Philadelphia. People in Philadelphia, go and vote on November 8th. You have a chance to vote for Sherry Hankala, Honkala. Give it the whole name. Cheri Honkala, People's Sheriff of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia County, Philadelphia City, apparently the same thing. Her platform, no foreclosures, no evictions. This may be the only Occupy candidacy that there is. She's running on the Green Party ticket. Have to look down the ballot. The Republican and the Democrat, worthless hacks, won't do anything to protect working people, right? Sanctity of debt, sanctity of vindictive landlords. Sorry. Human life has to go on. We can't turn the American people into a troop of refugees and Okies just because Bank of America wants to get their pound of flesh. So that's important. Now, that should be imitated. This is exactly the idea of how the dialectic between the mass movement, the mass strike, the people in the streets can fertilize, can help the candidacies. And we don't have enough candidacies. This is the big problem. And, of course, this has got to do with anarchists, because anarchists, of course, don't like to run for public office. They think that's tainted, right? That means being co-opted. Well, there you see the problem. So that would be the third plank. Now, no cuts. This is very, very specific. You have the 12 tyrants. We have 6 Wall Street Democrats and 6 reactionary Republicans who are meeting behind the scenes. They came out from under their rock this week to have a rare public session. They are the 12 tyrants, and they are planning how to flay you alive, how to strip you of your economic rights, how to reduce you to abject poverty, how to transfer even more wealth from the poor, reeling middle class into the hands of the fat cats at the top, and above all, the zombie banks and the hedge fund hyenas, because that's where it goes. So again, no cuts for S-chip, no cuts for WIC, no cuts for Head Start, no cuts to unemployment insurance, no cuts to food stamps. Those have got to be fully funded. No cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, not under any circumstances. And don't give us this Democratic Party baloney. We're willing to gouge the American people and hit them with genocidal cuts in the social safety net as long as we get tax increases. No way. The only tax increase we're interested in is the Wall Street sales tax, and we reject their plan for this idiotic quid pro quo that hurts the American people. Back in a minute.